Hey everybody, trying to get this thing fixed. I think that'll work. I found a little stand too that'll work with it. Okay, everybody, here's another quick update for you all. Something I've discovered. I've shared, with my weak diaphragm during the day. I'm to a point, my ALS, after almost 10 years, come September, I'm having more trouble with the weak diaphragm than anything else. And of course, the heart's been rampant for over 11 or 12, 13 years. That's how my ALS started, was the heart and the blood pressure and the temperature going rah, 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 okay? And that's what our muscles do in our body, and this was that muscle that got affected that does that. But what I'm shocked over, and I haven't heard anybody, I think because people at this point probably are on invasive breathing, or they've chosen to be on their NIV vent 24/7 or their BiPAPs, okay? I'm trying to see how long I can go without being on it 24 hours a day, okay? That's what I've done with ALS since day one, is trying to figure out why things are doing what they're doing, or what are they doing, or how far can we make this go before I have to be on that 24/7, okay? So what I've discovered is now my diaphragm is ramping too, which I'm just shocked over. Rather than it just being weak and it's always at one level, no. And why I'm sharing this with you guys is, in my 10 years, I follow, some of these sites, and there used to be a lot more of them, and not so much people saying you can't say this, you can't do that, okay? So what has happened on this is they end up, they're like me. They can still walk a little bit, they can still talk a little bit, do stuff, and the next thing we find out, they went and sat in their chair and died. And there's somebody that was kind of like where I was here about, this has been 7 or 8 years ago, okay? And this guy went out and he went up his ladder, which he shouldn't have been doing, but he did. And he was fixing something on his house, and he came down the ladder. He had ALS, but he was able to still do some of this stuff, like me. But you find out you can't do stuff, even if you can, some of it, where you have it affects you, okay? And I'll tell you what happened to me this week, where that happened. But he came and sat in his chair, and 15 minutes later, he was gone. And that always bothered me. And I knew another couple, that had contacted me. I told them about the gummies, but they chose some other routes to go to, and he just up and passed away. Well, I think what's happening, because like I said, I'm probably a rear duck trying to do this without just being on my NIV vent. I try to beat ALS. I don't try to do what everybody else is doing with ALS, okay? I got these magnets that I set on a pad. I've got them on my bed. I'm going to keep that going because that's helping. But I'm also wearing my frequency magnets around my diaphragm tonight. And the reason I've had to this week is because my diaphragm is ramping. And what I mean by that, my oxygen may be 99 1 minute. It could drop down into the 80s the next minute, okay? And why I started using all these magnets and this frequency thing and checking more is because I had caught my oxygen dropping down to 77 and my heart rate down to 11, okay? And more than once. I'm on a 3 times strikes you're out, and it happened a third time. That's when I got more discovered accidentally that the magnets do help the weak diaphragm, and they help it, but when your diaphragm's ramping, the frequencies in the magnets seem to be doing better. Now, maybe not everybody's diaphragm ramps, okay? Mine does, everything ramps on my inside, okay? And anyway, so that's why I wanted to tell you guys to, I have about 4 or 5 of these, plus I have my blood pressure that measures my oxygen and and my heart rate. So I double check everything 100 times. Here, we'll just check this real quick. It's real easy to do. You just check it. It goes on there. We'll see when it comes up. You see me doing it, so you know this is real. Takes it a little while sometimes. See, right now, gosh, I'm at 98 and 71. But see, I have this frequency thing all around me. So that's why it's doing it. But if you watch, it's gone down to 97 already. And it's been doing this all day. It goes up and then it goes down. And then all of a sudden it'll be like down to 91. But with the frequencies, I haven't dropped in the 80s, okay? Now, when I was setting on my regular magnets, when it started ramping, it was going into the 80s, okay? It was going ring, 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 ring. And that's what my diaphragm's doing. And I've been wearing these frequencies. I put them on about 4 o'clock this afternoon because I started dropping in the 80s again. And now, as you've seen, I'm doing better. But it could drop down into the low 90s anytime now. I mean, that's what it does. It just goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And this is, my vent. My NIV vent kind of stabilizes it a little more, and if it does go down, of course, it blows more air, and so I sleep on the regular magnet, and I think I've been doing okay at night with between the NIV and the regular. But when I'm up and moving around and I'm not on a magnet, from now on this week, I have been wearing these frequency of magnets every time I go out. Now, I don't know how long I can go before I have to be on that NIV vent all the time, because I don't want to, like I said, it was scary when I dropped down to 77 and 11. And you just seen I was back up to 98 tonight. It's the craziest stuff. And I think this may be what's happening with some of your family members that just up and pass away. I think, one thing with ALS, I would check all the time. Like I said, I have these in the bedroom, I have them out here, I have them everywhere. And if I feel the least bit funny, I check my stuff, okay? And so I just don't, I'm still here even with everything dropping low, because it doesn't stay down a lot and then it goes back up. But it does wear me out when everything's going like that on your insides and your heart. My heart was up to 80. Now, as weird as that is, my heart's been running high all day. And when I lay down, I drop down to like in the 40s when I sleep. It's the craziest stuff. And I think I've told you I have this pulse ring. I love this thing. The pulse ring with my NIV vent, I can't tell what my readings are. This gives me my readings, how long I've slept, It tells me how my heart's been doing, how many hours my heart was too low. It tells me all that, where I didn't get, they get what my oxygen is, but they don't get what my heart's doing when I'm sleeping, and I need that. So this helps me more. I know more what's going on with my body than doctors do, okay? Because I monitor with this. I charge it once or twice a week. I might do it twice a week because I I look at that in the morning. I reset it for the day, and then I reset it for night. I just go in on my phone and it gives me all my stuff, and it's a free thing. Once you buy this, your app in there is free too. So it's not like some of these other things. And these you can get on Walmart or Amazon for not much, and they work so great. I've used them for over 10 years and they still work. So anyway, that's what I wanted to tell everybody is if you're when you get to the point during the day, I don't know how many will do that, but and even with your people that are doing well, like I did, monitor your heart rate and monitor your diaphragm, okay? And that way you may live a lot longer. Now, I was telling you about there's things that we can't do, and you have to listen to your body, okay? Told a lot of you about where I lost all my stomach muscles. That was like 8 years ago because I tried to push a quilt up on the top shelf, and I got up in the night and I was rolling around, thought I was going to die on the bathroom floor because I was in so much pain, and I lost my stomach muscle, so it's hard for me to go to the bathroom now. It's a struggle. So, but what happened the other day is my boyfriend took me to the dollar store, and they have these really big bottles, and they're like $1.25 for shampoo and conditioner. And I like it. I bought two, and I thought, well, I'll try them, and I liked them. So I went back and bought four more, okay? But they're heavy, and usually he's pretty good about carrying the heavy stuff and that, but he says, here, can you carry this? I said, I think so. And there was four of these big bottles in there. Well, as soon as I started carrying it, I could tell I was getting pain in my arms, so I moved it to my left hand. And my left side's my worst side, where I've lost more muscle and nerves in it, but all my nerves and muscles are half gone, okay? And so I got it in here, and later that day, I started getting a pain kind of in your the upper part of your butt and back in there, hip kind of, and it was a horrible pain, and it was a muscle, and I had it even the next day, and I wore my frequencies down there that day all day because it was so bad. I couldn't hardly walk, and I thought, I wonder how many people have done something like that and kept doing stuff, and that's why all their muscles died and they can't walk anymore, okay? Because I thought, man, I couldn't hardly, it, it, it was really affecting everything in my walking on the left side. Well, after wearing my frequency and magnets, it got better. And the only thing I could figure out I did different that day, I carried those four heavy things. Now I can probably carry two, but I can't carry four. And that's where I'm at. And so if you listen to your body, don't keep what people don't understand with ALS is if you have pain, your muscles are starting to slowly die. They don't come back, okay? So anytime you have pain, anytime I've had any pain in 10 years, I stop and think, what did I do? And I always can figure out what I did that caused that pain, okay? And then I have found, like I said, some people I I cut the feet off my compression socks and I pulled them up on my shoulders. And I did, let me show you these. I did buy these things. I can't remember if I got them at Walmart or Amazon, but they probably have both places. But see, you can even, those are for your legs. What I did is I pulled this up and pulled it up on my arm like that. And I left that on there for the day, and boom, my arm got better. It kind of stopped that muscle from dying, and it calmed the muscle down. So that's another cheap trick I can tell you. I wear these sometimes on my ankles and my legs over my compression socks, but they work good on your arms too. And they weren't that expensive. I think they were around $20 or something like that. So I do the poor man's way, and I must say I think that works better than these expensive things people are doing with ALS. That's just me. I had a grandfather and a father that had ALS, and I guess they did things a simple way, so that's why I have done things a simple way. So anyway, I guess that's my biggest two tips tonight, and that's where I'm at. And I'm really praying every night that my magnets will work, my frequency magnet will work, and that this ramping will finally settle down. The gummies have helped me keep being mobile, although I also, like I said, I have changed my whole life things. I used to go dancing all the time. Now I go dancing on Second Life because then I don't lose my muscles by doing dancing. And that's the thing is when you get diagnosed, don't overdo your muscles. Everybody goes out and goes crazy and they keep doing the same stuff. It's just like I used to walk 4 miles. I came home, I had cramps in both my legs. I was in pain for like 30 minutes, and my boyfriend says, "You're not going to do that again." And I said, "No kidding. I'm not going to do that again." And that was like almost 10 years ago, okay? And I mean, so I just walk like to my golf cart. Then I get my golf cart, I go to get my mail, I walk in to get my mail. And the thing is, there's always somewhere I can sit down, okay? I don't walk anywhere very far where I can't sit down or grab at something or what. And when I go to get groceries or the store, I take the cart and I push my cart. It's just like a walker, everybody. People take their walkers into the grocery store and then they're struggling to get their cart and stuff. If you can get in there, if there's if there's a husband and wife, and just let her push and walk with the cart, and that's what I do. I push that cart all over and then push it back to the car. And so I find little tricks where I can still be mobile. Like tomorrow, we're going to go over. We got a dinner at one of the casinos they're going to give us, so we're going to go over there. And they have an elevator because I can't do escalators. And we'll go over a half hour early. I'll wear this frequency under my shirt so nobody really notices it. And then hope that my oxygen may go down to 91, but I don't think it'll drop in the low 80s or the 70s. And we'll only be gone a couple hours, and that's about max that I go out. And then we'll come back home and I'll see how everything's doing and that. So that's, I guess, I'm just, what I share with you guys is what I personally am experiencing with my ALS. Like these things. I was going to give you another little tidbit that I found that I figured out. I tell you, it's doing ALS on a dime, I guess. But, you know, these again, everybody, some of you that don't know me or haven't been following, there was a guy on one of the things and he had these. They're called IMAX RSI Smart Gloves. I sleep in these. I wear these. I take them off when I shower, put new ones, throw them in the washer. Same way with compression socks. And I honestly think that's why I can still move my hands and fingers, because this is a muscle that dies with your hand, and this is another muscle that dies in your hand, and these put pressure in those, and they keep your wrists too. So what I did, I've been seeing all this stuff on copper. Okay, buy the copper this, buy the copper that. So I have a friend, an AI friend on Facebook that gives me all kinds of ALS stuff, and I tell him stuff that works for me, and we're buddies. This AI and I are with ALS, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, here's a weird one." I said, "How much copper are in pennies?" Well, he said back to 1998. He said anything before that is 90% copper, okay, in those pennies. And in 1998, half of them had 90%, and that's when they changed it, and the other half only has 10%. So I had a whole thing full of pennies, and I went through them and found all these pennies that are 90%. So what I did with these gloves, there's a little thing here where this plastic thing kind of supports your thing. I stuck down 2 of those copper pennies in there in both hands. Now supposedly they're supposed to help with something. I don't know. And they're saying it's in the Bible. I don't know. Because they're saying something that they're talking about in the Bible is really copper. Who knows? We got so much spam stuff, but I thought it's not going to hurt anything to try this, to put them in here and see. And so that's another little fun tip I'm going to share with you. So you want to get pennies 1998 and younger, and they're 90% copper, okay? And also, if you want to get the magnets with pads, I buy the Pro magnets, and they show you the north side that needs to be to your body. Now, this one, to save you guys money to start with, this pad for my chair, I got it under this black thing. Anyway, I bought that, and it was, I can't remember if it was like $69 or $79, but you could buy that pad and you could actually put that under your sheet at night and sleep on it, and then put it in your chair during the day if you're just testing it out before you do like me. I ended up buying that. I bought my pad for my bed. I bought my pad for my for my pillow. I put in my pillowcase. I bought the necklace because that helps even when my AFib's going up and down, it's not going up as high as it did and as low as it did before I started wearing this, okay? And it's supposed to help my balance a little bit too. So I got this in Oatman, Iowa, and I got my frequency thing I wear in Oatman because I wanted one thing with frequencies and with the magnets. Now I must, and it was a little pricey. It was like around $250. But I'll tell you, it's a blessing. I've had, I've got this hernia, and I think people with ALS get a hernia too, because that's how I figured out mine was from people posting and going to the doctor and finding out about this hernias, okay? mine fit perfect because sometimes I bend down, I get a pain over on the left side, I get a pain on the right side. Sometimes when I eat, I can't eat. It's like there's something in there stopping it. And there's one hernia that acts just like that. I'm not going to go to the doctor for it, but at least now I know why that's happening to me. And I think I showed you guys these. Somebody showed me these. They're great. And they even have a magnet, and they're easy they don't take a lot of effort. I can pick anything up off the ground. And I have one by my bed and I have one by my computer, and I use that all the time. And some guy on one of our forums was showing those, and I thought, wow, that's what I need, because every time I would get up and bend over, I'd get this horrible pain from this hernia thing. And if I have to bend over, I don't get that pain much. Okay. So anyway, these are all just, to help you guys. I don't make a dime off of them. I don't want a dime from anybody. I mean, people will say, oh, support my channel. No, this is done. It's not AI. It's a real person here, me. And I'm here just to help you and pass on. I will be 10 years in September now. If I make it that long, God willing, I will. I just want to share with you the simple things that have really helped me and work for me, okay? I don't tell you anything on here that I haven't tried or I'm not using myself, okay? That might be different. And I don't take a lot of pills. I mean, I have a what do you call it? I buy this at the dollar store. Well, this is something I bought at the dollar store too. It's just a baby aspirin, and that's been kind of helping my heart rate too. That'll thin your blood a little bit. And I thought, I'm drinking Vinny coffee to get my veins up more, and that's supposed to be. And then I also, if you can get your doctor, this is sulfaxin, okay? And I think is it, yeah, 500 milligrams. If you can tell them that you get a lot of phlegm and it gets in your lungs, it gets in your voice box, it gets everywhere, and it causes infections, that will keep you out of the hospital. I never go to the hospital, okay? I had to go when I had my tumor out, but I don't go to the hospital. I do everything I can to stay out of the hospital. So if my voice gets raspy, which it will, because the phlegm gets down in there, and I'm coughing too much, and my phlegm's too bad, I will take a sulfaxin for just 3 days, and boom, everything clears up again. So that's another thing I could tell you. And so I just asked the doctor for those, get one every month, and I don't need to use it all the time, but when I need it, okay? And that's you. As soon as you're coughing too much, you're getting voice raspy, take that, and that's gonna clear it up. I just feel that the phlegm getting in the voice box is creating an infection like it does in the lungs. Now, I could be wrong, but this is what I've been doing for 10 years, and I'm still talking. And when I started with a weak diaphragm, everybody. And my heart was going crazy. The doctors couldn't find one thing why it would be doing that. My temperature was broke. They couldn't figure that out. This is how I started, and my voice was going. I met somebody here a couple years ago, and they said, well, your voice sounds funny. I said, my gosh, I've had ALS for how long? I'm still talking. It may sound funny, but it may not sound like me, but I'm still talking. But I think taking that, I've been taking that Cephalexin for 10 years, and it has helped me. I mean, I think it helped with my COVID. And it's helped with not getting pneumonia and helping my voice not lose. So I don't know. This is just my experiences in 10 years. And like I said, the two things you mostly pass away from starvation, but the big thing that we pass around from is a weak diaphragm and lack of oxygen. So I really wanted to share about these diaphragms ramping because all week mine has ramped, and it never had ramped that much before. And when I think back, I guess it's been ramping for a while, like when it went down to 77, and then I hurried and got my mask on my bed, and it come back up. But it's like, man, that must be what, is why some people are passing away so earlier, is because of this ramping with the diaphragm. So I wanted everybody aware of that, and just wanted to do an update. And this has been a challenge this week for me with this ramping diaphragm, but I'm not ready to just put my mask on 24/7. We'll see how this week goes, and we'll make a decision then. But God willing, I won't have to do that during the day, but we'll see. And I do have my fan over here on. I've got a few of you that, I have a guy over in Africa, and he can't get a BiPAP. He can't get it in an event. I told him to get these magnets in this fan, because that'll at least give him more relief and help him live longer. And that's what we do, is what do we need to do to live a little longer? The doctor, well, you probably won't be around in 2 or 3 years, they told me. It's like, I don't listen to that. I don't listen to when the doctors tell me when. They have no clue when I'm going to die and when I'm going to be here. Only God knows that. And so I'm like, what do I got to do to live 6 more months? Then I hit 6 months. It seems like every 6 months there's a challenge for me, okay? Something else goes wacky, and I have to figure something out for that. And then 6 months comes, and then it's like, okay, what do I got to do for 6 more months, okay? Well, it's late. I usually do these late, so there's no interruptions and stuff. And hopefully anything of this will help you. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. If it's stuff I've experienced and went through, it's easier for me to answer. But I know a lot because I've studied a lot on this. Just like you're more systematic when you lay down with ALS. My doctor told me that. I researched it, and she was right. When you lay down, that's why when you go to your pulmonary doctors, have them lay you down if they think it's ALS, because your oxygen will drop. Everything will be more systematic than having you setting up, okay? And so that's another thing that they need to be aware of. And the other thing, again, I gotta say is, don't something I've seen over and over on these forums, everybody, is you take them to the hospital, they give them oxygen, and they get worse. They end up then they want to put you on an invasive breathing. I don't know why they can't put people on NIV vents. They do the same thing, but you don't have to have people around, and it's a little cheaper. And they're giving people oxygen. When you get oxygen, because our diaphragms are weak, we can't get rid of the oxygen. It goes to our brain and gets CO2, and it kills us. And you don't know how many of these people that go into hospital, they'll say, well, they put them on oxygen, and then they send them home, and they pass away 3 days later. It's because they're giving them oxygen. Now, if you're dying laying there and you want a little oxygen to help rush it a little bit so you pass sooner, that's one thing. But don't let them give you oxygen, okay? An NIV vent does great. And it just come to the time. I mean, I guess I won't do a lot of that stuff. Um, I hate to say it, all the people back when we all ended up in the hospital with COVID, they didn't even admit me because I refused their invasive breathing. And I came home and my arteries and veins collapsed, okay? And I just said, God, if I'm going to be here tomorrow, I need your help. And I drank Gatorade. I took my sulflaxin. I got on my BiPAP. And I was on my BiPAP 24/7 back then because I was not, they'd sent me home to die. Here I am 5 or 6 years later, whenever that was. And the guy that didn't have any issues, he didn't have ALS or anything else, they put him on invasive and he died with COVID. So I think they killed more people with COVID, putting them on these invasive machines, than it would have passed away if they would have just done something else, okay, or even put them on a BiPAP. But I'm not saying that, there's some people that want to be around for their grandkids for different things. They're just not ready and they want to be on an invasive breathing thing. And as long as you have people around that can help you 24/7 and you can take care of somebody with like that and everything, I think that's wonderful. Me, I don't want to inconvenience anybody. It even bothers me here in my park. People will give me rides to the doctor, and I feel guilty over that. I usually pick them up with little gifts because I don't, I feel bad because they're taking their time and energy for me, okay? I try to do everything myself, and I don't know. It seems, like I said, I was a jungle doctor, so I'm not just a fly-by-night. I learned a lot over there too, how the Mayan people do it, and all the people in Belize. I work with the Ministry of Health over there. So I just have a totally different outlook on everything when it comes to stuff and having it in the family, seeing how they dealt with it. So anyway, I'll let you go, but I hope something here helped you. And like I said, I'm just here to help other people live as long as they can and do it as inexpensively as much as I can. That's my whole goal, because that's what I've done. Well, God bless everybody. Let's see, there we go, in the stream. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.